Hey guys, so I finally remembered another clean Army story, and this has to do with the true power of the U.S. Army. Now, back in the mid-2000s, my unit was sent to Egypt for an MFO rotation. MFO stands for Multinational Force and Observers. And this unit was composed of units from all over the world. We had units from France, from Hungary, from Norway. Japan had a contingent there. Uruguay was there. Colombians were there. I thought the Colombians were awesome. Hearing some of their stories, fighting the FARC and fighting the drug lords. I think Colombia has some of the best darn light infantry in the world. Those guys are amazing. Now, the mission of the MFO, the Multinational Force and Observers, was to sit on the border between Egypt and Israel and make sure that the peace treaty that was signed between those two countries in, I believe, 1979, the peace treaty was still being followed. And there were various rules to the peace treaty, like Israel could only have a certain number of tanks in a certain sector, and Egypt could only have a certain number of troops in a certain sector. And the MFO was there to make sure both sides were being honest. Really, it was like a vacation. It was like Army vacation, especially for the Colombians, right? And when we were there, like, we had educational opportunities. We could go to college classes. We could do EIB, Expert Infantry Badge. We could go to NCO or Sergeant Professional Development Schools. I went to BNOC there, which I guess now is called ALC. It was a great opportunity. And you would spend 21 days at this main base called South Camp. South Camp was right near Sharm el-Sheikh. It was right on the Red Sea, so you could swim in the Red Sea in the morning and then, go to duty. It was a fantastic experience. So for 21 days you were out at the main site at South Camp, and then for 21 days you would go out to a remote site, and you would occupy this remote site. They were basically combat outposts that had barbed wire, and it had bunkers, and you had weapons and ammunition, but there were living trailers there, and some of those trailers were air conditioned. We had a day room where we had a VCR, we had a DVD player with 5 movies: Goodfellas, Bad Boys 2, The 10 Commandments, the Paris Hilton TV show, The Simple Life, and there was one other movie. I can't remember the darn name of that other movie. But we would watch those movies again and again. We got to Bad Boys 2, Mike Lowry. We would say the movies along with while they were playing. We even had showers. We could shower. There was a cistern, and we could kind of heat up the water a little bit with a solar panel, and we could get a lukewarm shower out at site. On the other side of the fence of our remote site, there was an Egyptian border guard station, and it did not look like our site. It was a blockhouse, maybe concrete blockhouse, maybe 12 feet by 12 feet or 3 meters by 3 meters. These Egyptians would live in there, and every morning their Egyptian first sergeant would come by in a van and drop off a bag of rice and vegetables, and that was their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They had a 55-gallon drum, and that was their water. They would drink out of it, bathe out of it, and cook out of that 55-gallon drum, do their ablutions out of it. And I remember I would actually go over to the Egyptians every once in a while, because at the time I was trying to learn Arabic, and a buddy of mine would go over as well. He was a Muslim. He would pray with them, or he would try to learn Arabic as well. I loved the Egyptians. We would sit and we would watch their Egyptian soap operas on their little black and white TV that had like a coat hanger. We have satellite TV back in our day room, and they have a little coat hanger and a black and white TV. And we'd go over, they would make us tea. Even though they had nothing, they would try to give us something, because we were a guest. They'd make us tea, we would talk, I would learn Arabic. That Arabic actually came in handy when I was in Iraq. The Iraqis thought I was hilarious because I talked like an Egyptian. They called me Ryan al-Masri because I had an Egyptian accent. I talked like an Egyptian, which is much better than walking like an Egyptian or driving like one. So One day we went over to the site. We were occupying the site for a unit that was leaving. And I go through and you're checking all the hand receipts, all the paperwork to make sure they have all their ammunition and the strobe lights and everything. And my site cook says, "Hey, Sergeant, there's some chicken patties that are in the freezer that are about to expire." And I went and I looked, and yeah, it was 2 big bags of chicken patties, and they were going to expire like within a week. Now, we could order food. That's one of the reasons guys got so, jacked while we were there, because all we had to do was eat steak and lift weights. We could order the food we wanted. I'm looking at these chicken patties, and I grew up poor. Like, I was on the school lunch program. I don't think I was ever hungry growing up, like starving, but there were times when I was not full. And being like a growing teenager and not being full, that's just a horrible thing. And so, even to this day, I can't stand wasting food. So I said to the cook, well, let's just cook it. Let's just cook it all. So we ate chicken patties for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Me and all the other, I think 14 guys on this site ate chicken patties for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, at the end of the second day, we are sick of chicken patties. Like, guys are complaining to me, like, "Hey, Sergeant, we gotta eat more chicken patties." And now, food is very important to the morale of a soldier. So I'm thinking, like, oh man, we need to get rid of these chicken patties. But I didn't want to throw them out. And I thought of the Egyptians. So I took the bags of chicken patties and I walked them over to the Egyptian border guard station. And at first they were like, "This isn't pork, right?" And I'm like, no, it's chicken. I can't remember the word for chicken, but they were so grateful for this meat. And that's when I learned that these Egyptian border guards, they would only get meat when they rotated back into their main base. And even then, the meat that they got in their chow hall was what they called army meat, which from what they said in English and my Arabic, it sounded like army meat was meat that had been rejected by their food inspectors. So if the meat was rejected by their food inspectors, it couldn't be sold to the Egyptian population, but you could still sell it to the army. And that was really eye-opening to me. Because back at our site, we could order pretty much any food we wanted from this list. And have barbecues and eat meat and work out. And the Egyptians essentially had nothing in their own country. And that's when it struck me that America's army isn't powerful because we have M1 tanks and Patriot missiles and ACOG sights that you can put on your rifle. America's army is powerful because of logistics. Because we can get more breaded chicken patties halfway across the world than we could even possibly eat. But the Egyptians couldn't even feed their own soldiers in their own country. So if you know an army logistician, give them a hug today and thank them for giving the army the ability to help defend the world. Thank you so much for watching.
It's me, Captain Bannon of the documentary Team Yankee. When I'm not kicking commie butts, I'm wearing t-shirts from Ryan McBeth, available at Bunker Branding, Knife Hands, HIMARS, Landmines, Patriot, and even my favorite, the TOW missile. Mushna, we want t-shirt too! Take a hike, commie! So come on down to Bunker Branding and take a stand for what's really important about America. Capitalism!